Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Oh, welcome into a post-mortem Tuesday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Oh, that was absolutely gut-wrenching to watch last night. If you are a Seminole fan, it was ugly. If you're a college football fan, I guess a lot of people enjoyed that last night. I know everybody at ESPN did because they're gleefully jizzing all over themselves this morning. Cannot get enough of FSU disaster. Welcome into the JP Peterson Show. We're going to talk a lot of college football today. We're also going to talk Buccaneers with our good friend Scott Reynolds, as it's game week, baby. It is game week as the Commanders are coming to town with the Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels, and a whole new Redskins team. Oops. Sorry. Todd Bowles did that yesterday. It's all right, Todd. Don't worry about it. Nobody died. So we got lots to talk to. TJ Reeves is going to join us as well, and a special appearance by our good friend Pat Burnham from the Osceola, who just had to get on this morning and vent. He just had to get on and vent. And good morning to you, Tim Ham, our esteemed co-host at our DSP Dallas affiliate, DSP Media. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Man, I am so happy, JP, that it is football week. We have NFL Thursday, yes. NFL Friday,
yes,
from Brazil for the first time ever. Lots of football on Monday or Sunday, and then, of course, football on Monday. And I know you told me never to say this again, but, JP, my football squirters right here are going crazy. Squirters are going crazy.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll take that. So, and with football season comes the good and the bad, right? The jubilation of your favorite team getting a big W or having a great season, and the absolute gut-wrenching part of it when your team just sucks.
I haven't even had a chance to talk about Notre Dame A&M yet. We talked about it on my show last night.
We'll get to that. Yeah, for sure. Well, there's a gut-wrenching loss for you. Did you go to the game?
No, I was supposed to, but I ended up not being able to make it down. Yeah, I was going to.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. I'm look, FSU was not a good football team this year. They're not. They're absolutely terrible. They were overhyped. I want to say, did I believe in the hype? Yeah, a little bit. I trust. My whole mantra was I trust Mike Norvell. I trust Mike Norvell. We talked about there were so many unknowns on this football team. But I said I trust Mike Norvell to get the team ready for the opener, to get them ready to play this year. And I should have trusted Pat Burnham a little bit more. And of course I do. But he sounded the alarm on this show when he said, DJ hasn't really separated himself from Brock Glenn or Luke Kremenhoek, whatever. And everybody was like, oh, really? Huh? Really? Yeah. And DJ's bad. He's not a good quarterback. He's the same guy I saw at Clemson 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. I thought that maybe he had grown, but of course anybody evidently can go out to the Pac-12, the Pac-2 and throw for 7,000 yards and look good against those defenses. That's a truth. Because they're just really bad defenses. Look, Boston College is a decent football team. It's kind of funny last night Louis Riddick is crowning, Bill O'Brien and Boston College as this great football team, thinking that they beat a good football team. Florida State is not a good football team. And then, the whole thing of like, oh, let's look at the schedule. Can they still get back in the race?
Yeah.
Dude, they're not going to beat Memphis. They got Memphis in 2 weeks. I don't even. They'll probably be favored by some ridiculous amount. That was the easiest bet in history of bets last night. And yes, I cashed. I definitely cashed. I would have cashed on a parlay because I thought, but FSU couldn't score more than 13 points against Boston College. I had the over. I said Boston College plus 17 and the over as an easy parlay. We couldn't even get the 21 points. Unbelievable.
I saw someone put a percentage to this because I guess it was probably ESPN because they put percentages on pretty much everything.
Meaningless percentages, but
meaningless. But that story because coming into the season, they had Florida State, I guess, 77% chance to make the 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
After the loss to Georgia Tech, that went
Again,
down to 34%.
Percentage is meaningless, especially for preseason college teams. I mean, you have no idea what you have, and FSU was a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and how bad is DJ Uigalungal? I don't even know how to say his. So I never
right now he's just known as ukulele in FSU. Every FSU post from now, you don't even have to respect the guy anymore to do his whole name. We just gotta call him either DJ U or DJ Ukulele.
I was calling him,
and it's out of tune, baby. It is an out of tune ukulele. May be one of the worst things you could hear ever, and it's bad. It is bad.
What was the hype around him? He wasn't good at Clemson, and I know I heard he just didn't fit the offense.
Yeah.
So then he went to Oregon State.
Had a couple good years.
Yeah. Well, was he? How long? I thought he was just there 1 year.
Yeah, maybe 1 year. Yeah.
Just 1 year. But I get it. It's over there. But how good can a guy be when he's at 3 different schools in 3 years?
Yeah.
Like I get people are wanting him, so they're going to offer him, UIL crap. But if he's that good, Oregon State would have offered to make him stay.
Well, he's a 5-star recruit. Or whatever. He looks the part. Good God. He looks the part. He looks like Dante Culpepper. He's just, and he throws in practice, he throws a good looking ball, but he's horribly inaccurate. Terrible decision making. Slow as Christmas. My God, is he concrete shoes, and the worst part, there were so many bad parts about last night, but the play calling, just dreadful. The strategy, just awful. The lack of adjustments. Oh, my God. Mike Norvell, what happened to you in the offseason? Like, what the hell happened to you? The rubber chicken circuit just destroyed you, man. I don't know what the hell. I mean, listen, Timmy, 4th and 7? 4th and 7th. You're on your own side of the 50 on the first series of the third quarter in a 1-possession game. And it's 4th and 7. So it's a medium passing down. You need a somewhat reliable quarterback in this situation, or a drop dead play that is going to work, that you have scouted, the old, tight end drag, something that's a little bit different that is going to work. Right? A little something different. And you come up with a basic drop back shit call for a guy that can't hit the broadside of a barn, and your defense had actually had a couple of stops in a row. You punt the effing ball and put him inside the 10-yard line. That's one of the good things you have, is a good special teams unit. Make it work for you. That call is amateur hour. That is absolutely amateur hour. What the F are you doing? That is just on every level a terrible panic call by Mike Norvell. I'm still coaching at Memphis and I'm playing Alabama, and I just got to pull out all the stops because I'm not going to win anyway. That's really disturbing as a coach to watch a coach make that call. That's amateur hour.
Well, disturbing. I'm a stats guy, right? I love box scores, and like I said, I was watching the game, but I was also doing a show at the same time, so I didn't have the volume up, or I couldn't hear much of it. But some of the things that jump out at me, JP, 3 of 14 on third downs,
awful quarterbacking, terrible calls,
21 rushing yards.
Yeah.
What happened to this offensive line that all I heard all offseason was how great they're going to be and how many NFL draft picks they're going to have?
And you were never out of the game.
Yeah.
You don't abandon the run game 2 scores down. You don't. You just don't. Especially when you have a shit quarterback. I mean, he's awful. It's not like your quarterback was hot. I mean, he was terrible.
How about 7 penalties too, by the way?
Yeah. How about you get the ball 1st and goal at the 5-yard line? At the 5-yard line, Tim, in a 1-score game. And you do a 7-step drop. Bro, come on. You got 215 starts on your offensive line. You've got really good backs. It's one of the strengths of the team. You want to go for it on 4th down, Mike Norvell? You run the ball 4 effing times and score a fucking touchdown. What the fuck are you doing? It's 1st and goal at the 5. Let's call a 7-step drop and have our quarterback get sacked. Our concrete shoes quarterback get sacked. What the hell are you doing? You want to talk about totally abandoning the run game? My God. And then another 1st and goal situation where you got 4 downs to plunge it in, and you're not playing the fucking steel curtain here. I mean, it's Boston College. It's not like they have a great front 7. Luke Kuechly ain't playing there anymore, boys. 1st and goal from the 7. Your quarterback misses a wide open guy in the back of the end zone because he can't pull the trigger and gets the ball knocked down because he holds it 2 counts longer than he needs to. 2nd down, they bust the coverage for the 2nd straight time. The guy's wide open in the end zone. You don't need to throw it with any velocity whatsoever. Push the ball. You don't need to throw the ball on a line. It's called put air under the ball, allow your receiver to adjust to it, and certainly don't throw it 8 yards out in front of him when there's nobody guarding him. And then on 3rd down, we're going to throw the ball to a tight end that can't make a play in traffic. Kyle Morlock is a joke of a tight end. I've seen way too much of this dude. He can't adjust to the ball. He doesn't use his big body to shield anyone. And when someone touches him, he crumbles like a piece of paper, which most everyone on this roster does. He's terrible. And I'm so sick of all these overhyped players. The defensive line is awful. The defensive line has got bitch slapped 2 weeks in a row. And it's clear that everybody that's on the 2nd team is way better than the NIL guys you're paying on the 1st team. But I guess since you're paying them, you got to play them. Get them the hell out. They're terrible, and they have no heart. And that goes for, I won't even say his name because his father's a dear friend. We'll just leave it at that.
JP, who's having more regrets now about Norvell not going to Alabama? Is it Norvell or FSU fans?
I think it's Norvell. Alabama fans dodged the bullet. Listen, I still have faith in Mike Norvell. I think there's too much resume here that he's done well. I mean, you went 13-0 last year. You went 13-0. And that's, you cannot take that away. They should have been in the playoff, blah, blah, blah. And all these people, talking about, well, they don't need to complain about getting snubbed this year. Like, if you know anything about football, especially college football, every season is different. And especially in the portal, with the portal. Okay, every rosters are going to turn over every year. Stop connecting this year to any illegitimacy that you can claim from last year.
Right.
12 of those players are in the NFL. It's a completely different squad. Same colors, same university, but don't talk about last year in connection to this year or go back and say, in their last 4 games, they haven't thrown a touchdown pass. Like, that's a thing. You're playing backup quarterbacks and you're not even trying to throw the football because you can win on defense. So, I mean, there should be context in stats. So let's put it in context and just instead of trying to, drill a program that maybe you don't like. And like I said, all these ESPN guys all morning long, the talking points came down from above. There's no question about that. Barry, Florida State today. And Paul Feinbaum getting on his high horse and, oh, my God, shut the F up, bro. Yeah, they're a terrible football team. Nobody's arguing that. FSU fans aren't arguing that. This is a terrible football team. And, like Lewis Reddick last night looking at the schedule, can they get back in? They're not getting back into it because they're not a good football team. They're terrible. They can't stop the run, 270 yards rushing. The linebackers are awful. The defensive line is terrible. The scheme is horrific. And I saw so many guys last night there, number 8, number 1, all these numbers. They want no contact. They don't even want to hit anybody. They want to run around with their little things on and look like a football player who doesn't want to hit anybody and shies away from contact. Get them the hell out of the game and don't let them ever play in that uniform again. I don't care how many stars are on their freaking resume. And this is where Mike Norvell has to go now, right? You have to say, I don't care who I'm paying. You guys had your chance. You had your chance to stand up like men and play football, and you decided, no, I'm going to protect my draft status or whatever it is you think you're protecting. But I can tell you right now, none of you guys are getting drafted. None of you. Your football careers are probably over. Because if I were the coach, I'd sit your ass down, and you'd have to earn your way back on the field. And I don't care how much money you're making. Because the backups are clearly better players. They can't be worse. That's the thing. They can't be worse. You gave up 270 yards rushing. And I know the number is actually 263. But a lot of those, the last 7 were taking a knee. I could have had the over.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill O'Brien, for being such a professional. I hate you. But again, it was just FSU was never going to win this game. I mean, there were moments you could have won the game if you wouldn't have had such a ridiculous panic move on the 4th down call. If you would have hit some guys that were wide open in the end zone, they had a chance to win this game. They had a chance to win it. So what? So maybe you'll have 7 wins instead of 6 or 5 or 4. Who cares? This is about next season now for FSU. If Mike Norvell is honest with himself, this is about next season. Start playing the young kids and move on. I mean, DJ I can say it, Uiagalelei doesn't need to see the field again. Like you're done. You're done. There's no point in playing him. None whatsoever. There's none. Like Brock Glenn should be starting. You got a week off for Memphis. Today, Mike Norvell should come out and say Brock Glenn is the starter. Or we're going to do a little competition here for the 2 weeks, and Luke and Brock are both going to play. Actually, if I were Mike Norvell, I'd get them both ready. Let's see who can play. I mean, there's really zero point in I mean, just pick up your paycheck, DJ, and go sit in the back of the room. Whatever, it's over. I mean, and if it's not, if Mike Norvell doesn't do that, I'm going to start losing some confidence in Mike Norvell. At this point, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. They went 13-0 last year. That was Mike Norvell. Great job in the portal. Great job coaching them up. Did a great job last year. Fantastic. And if you're a Florida State fan, this is how you should feel. Last year was magical. It was great. You had a great year. Okay? And that was fun. But this year is going to be a tough sled. It's going to be a tough sled. And you need to find a quarterback. You need to find the next guy. That's first and foremost. I mean, both Brock and Luke are highly regarded recruits. You made a mistake in going and trying to get a bridge year with DJ. That was a mistake. And maybe you said, well, we got 5 offensive linemen coming back. You know, we've got some good young defenders here. Maybe they can play their way. You misread your team because you were playing a garbage defense with a garbage offense in training camp. And you thought, okay, you know, some days are good, some days are bad. It's all bad when you face actual competition. And that's the truth of it. You know, I'm an FSU guy. Everybody knows it. But that is the objective truth in what you saw the first 2 games. It wasn't because they went to Ireland. It wasn't because they had jet lag. It wasn't because of anything else. It was, you're a bad football team. These players are overhyped. The guys that played last year are in the NFL for a reason. They're in there, and that was the heart of this team. And it was for the last 2 years, the 10 wins and the 13 wins. That's those guys, the Jordan Travises, the Trey Bensons, the Johnny Wilsons, the Keon Colemans. I mean, those guys and Jordan Travis made that offensive line, just like Pat Burnham told us many times. You know, this offensive line's not that good. Jordan Travis made them look pretty good the last couple of years, and he's 100% right. You get a concrete shoes quarterback back there, and he's going to be under duress every single time. Robert Scott is awful. I mean, the both tackles are awful. And you got to move on. There's guys behind them, and for some reason the coaches don't believe in them. But I can tell you what, these guys that are playing are not good, and you better start developing players for the future because the season is done. The season is over. Playoffs. This
Playoffs.
Seriously. Look, and I know people say, well, it's Florida State. Okay. This there is no carryover anymore, folks. There's no carryover. I mean, yes, at Alabama and Georgia, when you're stacking recruiting classes one on top of another, yes, there's going to be carryover. FSU hasn't done that. Norvell has not done a great job high school recruiting, not certainly in the elite level. Okay, but not elite. You know, if you're going to compete for the playoff, you have to be elite in your recruiting. FSU is not there. Corey Long, who texted me early today to remind me that he's told me that a million times, was 100% correct. And he's been sounding the alarm. He's like, yeah, you're doing well in the portal, but you got to do better in high school recruiting. 100% right. This is what you get. You got no linebackers, except maybe Nicholson, who can play. None. Your rush ends are terrible against the run. Your defensive linemen that were supposed to be first-round picks, Darrell Jackson, I've been talking about you for 2 years. You're awful. Josh Farmer, what the hell happened to you? What the hell happened to you? And I think maybe it's because they get double-teamed every single play because the linebackers are so bad they don't have to even account for them. So I want to give the defensive tackles a little bit of respect here, a little bit. I mean, because I know everybody's saying they get blown up, but listen, if you're getting double-teamed every single play, because they don't even have to account for the linebacker, it gets tough. It gets tough for any defensive tackle, and that's where they're at right now. But I think I hit all the bad spots. Is there anything I missed?
So no, but you brought something up that hasn't occurred to me yet with this whole world of NIL. And we run into this in the NFL when you have high draft picks, right? Especially at skill positions, quarterback, wide receiver, whatever. And they don't perform very well immediately coming out of college. Maybe the first half of their first season, their rookie season in. And coaches are hesitant to bench them or pull them because of where they were drafted. Right. Or even with veterans because of the amount of money that they're paying them, right? You get pressure from the front office, man, you got to play this guy. We're paying him bukus of dollars, you know?
Yeah.
Are we going to start running into that now in college, or have we already in college football because of the NIL commitments with guys like DJ, where you're clearly underperforming, but we can't really sit you because of all the money that you're making or because of what we paid in the portal to get you. I mean, now we're running into that in college, right? Like I hadn't thought of that before.
I did. I was thinking about it last night. No, not just with DJ, with the other players as well. I think you know, it's just like Jason Light. When you make a mistake, admit it and move on. You know, that's what the good general managers do. And now we're going to see, you know, the general managers in college playing a role, although they're mostly just cap guys at this point, right? They're just trying to figure out where, you know, here's your budget, where are we going to put it, and advise the coaching staff. And I mean, the head coach is going to be the general manager, obviously, in these situations. But yeah, I don't, the answer to that is I don't know. And I think it depends on the culture of your program. I don't think there's anybody above Mike Norvell saying, yo, dude, you asked me for, you know, God, I don't know what DJ's getting paid. It's like, I'm guessing what, at least 600,000, 500,000. I mean, quarterbacks in the portal, right? But was there a bit? Who were you competing against to get DJ? And that's where I have a little bit of like worry about Mike now. Is like, I'm not paid to go watch his film, DJ's film. All right. I mean, I guess a little bit. I didn't go back and look at Oregon State stuff. I looked at his numbers and I said, okay, they're okay. But what I saw this first two games, I mean, I don't think he was horrible in game one. Last night, he was awful. He was awful. And you see why he's a 59% career passer. He's horribly inaccurate. His mechanics are bad. He's slow. His release is slow. His wind up. And it's so bad. All of it is so bad. Like, I can't believe Mike Norvell looked at him and said, okay, this is our guy. Like, that's scary. And I know a lot of coaches sometimes feel like when I get him, we're going to, you know, I can make something out of this guy. I get that. Mike, your hubris is a little much here. I think to look at him, at least what I've seen in the first two games, and say this guy has, you know, he's, you know, every once in a while he makes a good throw, but that's That's 5-5, or 6-6 football to get guys that are 50-50 on whether they throw a good ball or not. I hope Brock Glenn and Luke Crumwin are better than that, and we need to find out. We need to find out more than anything. We need to find out. Like, this to me is not even a decision, and if it is, then what you're saying, Tim, is going to hold water. If he does anything but move on from DJ, then I think there is a residue of we're paying him, we got to play him, because that's the stupidest thing ever. That's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. It's not going to help you this year. It's not going to help you. I mean, I don't think if you stay with DJ over Brock or Luke, are you going to win more games? I don't think you can make that from what I've seen. I don't think you can make that.
Yeah.
That leap. And again, both of these young men were highly recruited. Highly recruited quarterbacks come in and play all the time and play well, and should be able to play well in the ACC. So I don't see any upside in DJ. Let's get to some of the comments here. Good morning to you, Kenneth McClary. You're up early. Appreciate it. It says FSU performance last night was atrocious. They're making that ass hat on ESPN look like Nostradamus. I know, it's the worst part. It is the absolute worst part, having Feinbaum be right. So I don't see any possibility at this point that this season will be saved. No, it's over, partner. It's over. In terms of playoff, it's over. But listen, again, you want to go down there and spoil Miami's season? Hey, still a chance to do that. Get a new quarterback in there, get some new blood, play some of the younger players and see what happens. You never know. Miami's entirely capable of choking. Kenneth says, maybe I'm just being doom and gloom, but that quarterback does not instill confidence for me, much let the offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, safeties, quarters. Am I being too hard?
Go down the list.
Brother. No, brother, you're spot on. You're spot on. It is what it is. You see it. 2-loss team will be out of the playoff. Yes, thank you for that flash, Lude.
News break.
News break. I think 2-loss. There will be. I'll say there'll be at least 3 2-loss teams in the playoff this year. How about that prediction? And FSU won't be one of them, by the way. Tim Main says, I'm a Gator fan, not going to say an effing word. Well, you really can't. You really can't. Although, right now, neutral sites, hell, even in as bad as the Gators are, I think they're better than FSU. FSU's terrible. They're really bad. Like, they might when they stick with DJ, it might be a 3-win season. It's bad. It's bad. You can't tackle anybody. You can't cover anybody. You can't block anybody.
Can't score.
You can't. I mean, what do they do? They're terrible. I mean, they're really, really bad. James says, JP, I don't believe players respect DJ. Bye week, Norvell needs to have competition at every position. Brock needs snaps at quarterback. Marvin Jones is so undisciplined. Yeah, he's terrible. Horrible at defensive end. He needs to go. Yeah. I hate to say it, but you're 100% right. Wide receiver can't get open. When they are open, DJ misses them, says James. 2 wide ass open in the end zone, and G misses them. He should have been benched at halftime. I don't disagree. I'm not, you can't listen to the crowd, but they were right. James said they passed every time they had 1st and goal. I know. Listen, you got Jordan Travis. I get it. This guy can't run, and he can't throw. Why are you calling pass plays inside the 10 when you have a 1st down? When your strength of your team is your backs. I'm not going to say offensive line, but at least it's you. I mean, I'm saying 4 downs, push 4 downs. I mean, it's just you got at least he's 260 pounds, the quarterback, or 50 pounds, whatever he is. I mean, yeah, that's just awful. By the way, that whole sequence where they went for it on 4th down late in the game to run a quarterback sneak, and it took them 20 seconds in the huddle to call a quarterback sneak.
They're trying to throw him off.
Yeah. James says BC wasn't doing anything exotic, like they were not even sending guys in motion. BC simply ran it down our throats. I think Norvell erred on DJ evaluation, should spit can it and open up completely during the bye. Yep, I agree. Why does ESPN continue to do this? Are Knowles hurting ESPN? They need to give it a rest. Yeah, it's bad. I know it's the same political hack job that they did last year, and they're gonna absolutely just revel in it. Both our defenses downright suck. Oh, FSU and UF. Yeah, take the over in that game. Well, I'd say take the over, but the offenses are horrible.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kenneth says, okay, listening to UIC, I'm not too hard on the Seminoles. All I can do is shake my head and hope that it gets better somehow, some way. And I agree with everything that you've said so far. Thanks, Kenneth. Good morning to you, Nathan. Not really a good morning. Corey says, yep, DJ should be benched, but he won't because of the NIL. I think this is going to be, to your point, Tim, this is going to be a great test of that.
Yeah.
Not sure what all these emojis are, Matulo. But I don't know how this emoji thing works right here down here, but you don't have a turd in there, so you're wrong. You don't have a turd in there. All right, let's ditch this conversation for now and bring in our good friend Scott Reynolds and talk some Buccaneer football. Good morning to you, Scotty. How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you?
How you think I am today, Scott?
I don't think you're doing very well, JP. I don't think you're well at all. We texted a little bit last night.
How many shots of whiskey are in this coffee this morning?
I think it's full.
It's full. Yeah, I didn't even bother with the coffee.
Or maybe it's empty now. I mean, you've been at this for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you got some vodka.
I've got a water chaser, yeah.
Disguising the vodka as water. Yeah, okay.
It's all my tricks. All my tricks.
Listen, it's all about the quarterback. And if you don't have a good quarterback, you don't have a good team in college football or in the NFL. That's why it's the most important position of football. This is a guy, DJ, I don't want to pick on him, but I texted you this morning, and it's like he did not show up. I mean, he was off of Clemson for a reason. They didn't want him anymore, right? He wasn't good at Clemson. He was awful, yes. And then he goes to Oregon State, where they don't play defense in the Pac-12. It used to be a joke that the Big 12 doesn't play defense, but we actually do now. Yeah. The Pac-12 does not play defense.
Awful.
And as a result, you look at the games that he lost, he couldn't win the big games.
Yeah.
He lost against Cam Ward at Washington State, number 21 ranked Washington State team. He lost against Arizona. He lost against number 5 Washington, number 6 Oregon, and number 16 Notre Dame. So he could not win the big games. And say what you want about Georgia Tech or Boston College. We'll find out how good or bad these teams are as the season progresses. But week 1's a big game, especially when it's in Ireland, right? I don't care who the opponent is. It's a big game. And he didn't win it there. And then, they crapped the bed last night. And it's a problem. And I if I'm Norvell, I don't know how you can put this guy back out there on the field. I really don't. You had 2 chances and you're done. You're a senior quarterback. Yeah. If this is the best you can do against these 2 teams, it is not going to get any better with this guy. And we saw at Florida, right? The switch of energy, right? When their starting quarterback got hurt and DJ Lagway comes in, all of a sudden it's like, boom, you feel like you have a chance with this guy. And I mean, it's not hard. It's not hard to figure this out, but we'll see. And this is the problem with the NIL now. This is the problem. And people haven't really talked about this much, and we'll talk Bucs in about 30 seconds, but let me get off my soapbox here. The problem with the NIL is now you have not just a transfer quarterback, you have a bad investment. You have local businesses, right, that have invested money in this guy. Maybe he's pitching cars, maybe he's pitching roofs, whatever he's pitching. They paid him money to come to Florida State to pitch their product, right? And now all of a sudden he's not going to be the starting quarterback. So if you're a car dealership, and this is hypothetical because I don't know the situation with DJ, but if he has, like, let's say NIL money from a car dealership, all of a sudden after 2 games they go with the freshman quarterback, he's gone. Guess what? The car dealership is going to be calling Florida State athletic department saying, wait a minute, we paid for the starting quarterback at Florida State, right? So now it opens up a whole can of worms. Mike Norvell shouldn't have to worry about things like this.
All those spots you did with him aren't going to look very good on the local TV.
No, they're not. And
it's sitting on the bench.
And now it's become a bad investment. So this is going to be the downfall of NIL. when it works great. But when it doesn't work, it works horribly. And so,
I think
R.I.P. Seminoles.
It might be a little bit overblown connecting the actual businesses because they're really not working that way. I think some of them do.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the money's poured into a collective
Correct,
by boosters and then it's handed out. So I think they try to specifically avoid that. But like with some superstars, you do see them hawking, a local stuff. So I think that is part of it. Those guys ain't getting benched. They're not.
Right.
Guys aren't getting benched when Caleb Williams is not getting benched. But your point is a good one. And Timmy just brought that up. And I said, yeah, this is going to be a test. I mean, if Mike Norvell, there's no football reason to stay with DJ. You can't make a football reason. You just can't. Unless Brock Glenn and Luke Kromenhoek are that bad. And they're both highly recruited players. They're I mean, in hindsight, they should have let the two of them battle it out to see who the starter is and move forward and, use that DJ money in other places. That was a mistake by Norvell. That was obviously a huge mistake. It's going to happen. I get it. He thought he could get a bridge year out of him, come in and coach him up, with a good offensive line and a running game, which, it was clearly a mirage. The offensive line is terrible. Yeah. It's terrible. All right, let's move on to the Bucs.
Okay,
my friend. First and foremost, I was watching Todd yesterday. I'm sure you were there in the press conference. I didn't watch Yaya at practice, but I watched a little bit of the highlights that you guys put up. Do you think he's playing this week, Yaya Diaby? Do you think he's playing?
I think that's the hope, and they're going to see how this progresses. It's one thing to go through rehab, right? It's another thing and like jog on it and then get in the pool and test it out and all those things. But when you're doing football moves on a football field during football practice, it's going to be a little different, right? How structurally sound is that high ankle right now? Is it swollen? Is it flared up a little bit? And I think the beauty of this is having that practice on Monday, then the day off. He doesn't have the back-to-back practices yet that he's going to have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So if there's any swelling, they'll find out about it tomorrow, I should say today, and they'll make a determination on Wednesday. Is he going to go, or does he need Wednesday off? And then hopefully Thursday gets better. I do know from my 29 years of covering NFL football for Pewter Report, the two worst injuries to get of any injury outside of like a season-ending injury. Okay, let's start there. But
the in-season
in terms of the in-season nagging injuries, high ankle sprain and a groin injury.
Yep.
Those are two injuries, and even hamstrings to a degree, but groin injuries and the high ankle sprain, those are two injuries that you think you got over them and they can flare back up. And so that's a little bit of a concern. I will say this. From the get-go, we saw Yaya Diaby come out to practice, not wearing a boot, not in one of those little wheelie stroller things where, they're immobilizing the leg. We saw him come out in tennis shoes walking around, not even with like a neoprene sleeve on that ankle, just to kind of, keep it a little tightened up. So that was a good sign from right off the bat. I think this team was being a little overly cautious. My expectation is that he's out there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, does the walkthrough on Saturday and plays on Sunday. We'll see if anything changes tomorrow based upon how he recovers from yesterday's practice today.
And that's going to be big, I think, in terms of when you got a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, as mobile as he is, you're going to have to put some heat on him. And when he gets out of the pocket, you're going to need a guy with speed to run him down. And that's Yaya's job. So it's a big, that's why it was my first question. Because I think
it's huge for two reasons. Number one, not only can he pressure the pocket, right, but he can also chase down the backside plays, right? When Jaden Daniels is rolling to his right, and he's a right-handed quarterback, so you roll to your right to look downfield. Yaya has the makeup catch-up speed with 4.51 to come free around the corner and chase him down from behind. And not a lot of defensive ends or outside linebackers, edge rushers, if you will, have that type of speed. They can pressure, but they may not be able to seal the deal. Diaby's one of those kind of freaks that has that. The other thing, too, is for anything on his side of the field, and I would suspect he's rushing from that right side, from Jaden Daniels' blind side, he has the sideline to sideline speed to literally cut off his side of the field. So from the edge to the sideline, he has that speed to negate any type of rollout or bootleg or whatever to his side of the field, as long as he plays it properly, and shut down that sideline so he doesn't let Jaden Daniels hit that sideline and get out of the gate. That's huge. When you can take away half the field and prevent a quarterback from scrambling, that's huge. And I would suspect, too, with Jaden Daniels, you're going to see a lot of zone coverage. Yep. I don't think that Todd Bowles, he'll play maybe a little bit of man, but you want to play zone against him. You don't want to have the defensive players that are dropping in coverage having their back to the quarterback. And then all of a sudden, maybe it's up the middle, one of those pass rush lanes, the integrity isn't there, and now there's an escape lane for a rookie quarterback. The first thing he's going to see is what's my first read? It's covered. I'm looking to take off. And that's where you want that to end in a sack, not in a 17-yard scramble for a first down up the middle.
Huge. And to that end, Todd Bowles has had a checkered past when it comes to rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I can't figure this out. For the life of me, an experienced defensive coordinator should eat up these young quarterbacks. Like I go back to Daniel Jones, but that ridiculous game. What is that?
Well,
and I'm not on.
All right,
Todd,
so there's three games that really kind of stick in Bucs fans' craws, and let's talk about them.
Yeah.
The first one, like you mentioned, 2019, that was the Daniel Jones game where the Bucs led 28-10 at halftime, and the offense completely stalled out in the second half for Tampa Bay. Didn't help out the defense. The defense just lost the first half momentum and allowed him to come back. This was Daniel Jones's first start, I believe, as well. Mm-hmm. So that didn't help. So there's that game. That, to be fair, that happened early in Todd Bowles' first season with the defense in 2019. So still learning some personnel, still learning what you can and can't do with your personnel that you have in the field. We'll give him a little bit of a pass because that's ancient history. The second game is that Brock Purdy game, that 49ers game. His first start, I want to say it was week 10 or 11 back in 2022. Brock Purdy beats Tom Brady, right? That was not a very good Buccaneer team. No. Tampa Bay's offense didn't help him out in that game. I think they only scored 3 points. So part of that
turned out to be pretty good.
Brock turned out to be pretty good. And he has a tremendous offensive line in front of him.
Great receivers.
The whole shebang. So that was an ideal situation where it really wasn't Brock Purdy beating the Buccaneers. It was the 49ers offense, and he happened to be at the controls. And, of course, the last one, C.J. Stroud last year. C.J. Stroud's a hell of a good player.
Yeah, he turned out to be pretty good.
He turned out to be a really good player. And it was just a bad performance by the Bucs defense. Bad play calling, bad performance. Carlton Davis picked the wrong day to be a rookie in his 6th year in the league and gave up 3 touchdowns, including the game winner. So that was bad. At the same time, though, he was 2-0 against Bryce Young. And he beat the hell out of Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. So technically last year he was 3-1 against rookie quarterbacks. So it hasn't been as bad as you would think, but those warts are glaring, and those are the 3 we talked about.
Yeah, sometimes these narratives gets going, and you got to look under the hood a little bit. That's why we rely on you for that, for sure. And
I will say this. This is a different animal because this situation with Jaden Daniels. This is week 1. You've had the entire offseason and all of training camp and all the preseason to watch every LSU game, to watch every performance Jaden Daniels has had dating back to Arizona State, to dissect those 15 pass attempts and those 3 scrambles he had last preseason here, or I should say this most recent preseason, and dissect it. So you should know what you're getting. This is not a guy that played 2 years of college football either. He played, I want to say, 3 years at Arizona State, 2 years at LSU. He's got a library of games to study. And yes, he got better as he went along. He won the Heisman his final year. But there are certain things that he likes to do, certain things he doesn't. And I trust Todd Bowles has had ample time to figure out what those things are.
Scott Reynolds joining us here, Pewter Report. All right, so as we look at this new regime here in Washington, but it's not new. Like we know what this is all about.
Yeah.
So I don't think there shouldn't be a total surprise here.
Yeah.
And this Bucs offense, I'm glad that they got what they got against the Dolphins. That was really good to see that. I'm very high on it, but it still is the first game. But this should be a game where they put at least 24 to 31 points on the board. I think that's fair to say. What do you think?
No, I think so. Dan Quinn is a very good defensive mind. He's been around the block. Is this a situation where he's a retread coach, kind of like Jeff Fisher was, bouncing from organization to organization? Or is he leveling up like Andy Reid did, going from Philadelphia to Kansas City? It helps to have a really good dynamic quarterback, as Andy Reid found out, going to KC and really inheriting Smith and then drafting Mahomes, right? That was going from very good to great. So that helps. But the problem area for Tampa Bay last year was the interior offensive line. Did they fix it or just replace the parts? I think they fixed it, but it's going to be very interesting to see how this revamped interior holds up against the unquestioned strength of Washington's defense, which is the defensive tackle tandem of Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. Those guys can cause some problems. I would also expect, if I'm Dan Quinn, I'm doing everything I can to pressure the rookie center, Graham Barton. Have him make a wrong slide protection call, right? Where the line goes one way and all of a sudden it's a jailbreak. Exactly. So maybe it's a double mug, A gap, showing the linebackers in there to pressure and stress Barton out. Which one do I have to get? This linebacker or this linebacker? Or Jonathan Allen or Daron Payne? Make him think. So if I'm Dan Quinn, I'm doing all sorts of eye candy there. Showing blitz, bringing blitz, showing blitz, dropping, bringing one, dropping the other, bringing both, dropping both, just to confuse Graham Barton. The good thing is he's a smart guy, but he has 0 NFL game experience when it really counts. And that's the same for all rookies. So he's the tip of the spear. That's why they drafted him to be a center rather than a guard. And he is going to be a big catalyst in the run game. I think the best thing you can do for Graham Barton, get an early lead and then run the ball. This doesn't have to be pretty. You don't have to beat the Commodes, 35-7 or something, but just get a lead. That's going to help Todd Bowles get in his bag where he feels comfortable to do some things. We've seen what Todd Bowles can do with the lead. We saw it at Green Bay. We saw it at home against Jacksonville. His team had a 30-0 lead and ruined the Jaguars' Christmas. They got 12 cheap points at the end. We saw what happened when this team had a lead against the Eagles in the wild card playoff game. When you give Todd Bowles a lead, 7 points, 10 points, 14 points, he can get in that bag. He feels a little comfortable to take some chances and do what he does best. Exotic pressure packages, disguise coverages. It's not as vanilla. It's not as safe as the shallow drops with the zones and all that. It gets a little bit more in Todd Bowles' wheelhouse, and you see what can happen. The Super Bowl back in 2020, that Eagles playoff game. But when the Bucs are down, when it's 3-3, when it's 0-0, when they're down 7-0, Todd's going to be a little bit more conservative. And maybe he's a little bit relaxed this year, having, I think, a more experienced guy like Liam Cohen calling plays, Baker Mayfield calling, running the offense with another year's worth of experience. But if you give this team a lead, it's going to help Graham Barton out. It's going to help Todd Bowles out on the defensive side. And then you might see a second half snowball where they really start to take this thing home. But I think getting that first quarter lead is huge, maybe more importantly for Graham Barton than anybody else, because then they can run the ball and they won't have to pass the ball.
Bowles is better with the lead, Scott and JP, because then he doesn't have to worry about using his timeouts.
That's right. That's right. Then he doesn't want to use him. He wants a running clock to go home. So you're exactly right. That's the type of analysis, astute observations we call on you for, Tim.
Right. And he still needs to use them in the first half with a lead.
I don't know what that bigger means. Lead. When you say first half timeout, you're speaking a foreign language.
They have those in the first half?
Yes. I don't know that he knows that, Tim. Maybe we should let him know.
Goodness.
But I think when you look at Todd Bowles, and I think, Scott, you would agree with this, he seems more in command of this team. He certainly has the respect of the team. They play hard for him. And I think we could make the case that he's grown as a head coach the last couple of years. And I expect him to get better at all that game management stuff. And I think your point about Liam Cohen is a good one. It takes a little bit of heat off him that maybe he can feel like he's got a little bit more leeway and doesn't have to worry about that side of the ball as much. And I think that's important. I've often said that, the two biggest performers on game day that determine outcomes of games, I think, are the quarterback and the coaching staff, and specifically the head coach. With all there is on your plate with challenges and replays, all those different things, use of timeouts, all those things.
On fourth down, those types of things.
Yeah, those calls are huge because games. We know how close NFL games are. Yeah. Those calls are huge, and making those calls is the reason why these guys get paid so much money, and the good ones are really, really good at it. Yeah. How do you have confidence that Todd is going to be better at that? And I guess better, you expect that. Will he be elite? He has to be elite in order for this team to have a special season.
I think there's a chance. I want to say he leveled up a little bit last year. He leveled up.
I agree.
And, being calm and not panicking is great when it works.
Okay? Yeah.
Panic's never a good thing on the sidelines. And when you're panicking, you're usually in the downward spiral. I give Todd Bowles a lot of credit for not panicking last year. It sounded a little non-believable at times. He would come up to the podium and address the media and the fans when this team was, 4-4, 4-5, 4-6, 4-7. It was consistent. And at some point you're like, you're either really going to get fired or you're going to turn this thing around and make it interesting. And to his credit, that worked. And we saw that work, for us old timers back in the day with Tony Dungy.
Yeah.
He started off 0-5 and then he beats the Minnesota Vikings, Denny Green, his old team. And the Vikings were good back then, right?
Yeah.
They had power. That was a big, huge win for the Buccaneers. But it's like you're kind of like, wow, they're really going to do this pretty soon. Otherwise, this guy's been shoveling a lot of BS, and it's falling on deaf ears. At some point in time, if you don't see results on the field, the message falls on deaf ears, and that happens at certain points for teams. And at 4-7, it was pretty much the breaking point. You go to 4-8. I mean, you have to run the table to get to 9-8. Yeah. And thankfully, they had that little cushion where you could lose to the Saints and still win the division the next week, and they finished strong. So Todd Bowles and I think the team have that confidence that we were able to do this last year to dig ourselves out of a hole. Let's not dig ourselves in the hole this year.
Right.
But damn it, if there's some injuries or something happens, we can dig ourselves out. We have that to fall back on. And so that is a little bit of a confidence trump card that you can kind of play at some point in time if things don't go your way at some point in the season. But there reaches a point of no return. And, like if I'm Mike Norvell and you're 0-2, like it's time to hit the panic button here a little bit, because you can't let this linger to 0-3, 0-4.
Right.
There's a time when you have to see results on the field. Otherwise, it's a lost season. And for Dungy, it was week 6 back in 1996, and then for Todd Bowles, it was getting off that 4-7 schneid and getting to 5 wins, and that kind of propelled the Bucs comeback.
Yeah, it's interesting that you draw that parallel, because I was going to ask you this question. As an FSU guy, we kind of believe the hype on the defensive line, and we believe the hype on the offensive line, and we believe the hype on DJ. Not that any of us thought he was going to win the Heisman, but we believed all of it. And it's kind of been the same way with the Bucs. It's Camp Kumbaya, as I've called it. Everything looks great. They've addressed all the issues. If we're sitting here week 1 after a loss, or they start 1-3, what are those weaknesses that we're going to look back and say, we probably overshot that a little bit? I would say pass rush. Yeah. Maybe they can't stop the run like I think they should be able to stop the run.
I would be shocked if they can't stop the run. Yeah, I would be more concerned about third down defense, 3rd and long. That was a problem last year.
Yeah.
Kind of reared its head against the backups in Jacksonville, right? But the ability to cover. I'm not so much the safeties, but the corners, the outside corners. Zion McCollum, is he the real deal? Is he going to live up to the hype? Jamel Dean, is he going to have the bounce back year that we expect him to have? Can those guys stay healthy? And if Bryce Hall has to play, is his lack of speed past 20 yards going to be exposed? So I think those are some of the areas that, and pass rush is one of them too, that I think might be causes for concern. Offensively, I would be shocked if there's problems with this offense. You're returning the same cast of characters, then you've added some playmakers, and I believe the offensive line is going to be better this year. So I don't know. I think Baker Mayfield became a smarter quarterback last year. I don't see him becoming a dummy this year and regressing. He knows that he doesn't have to do anything more than get rid of the ball on time to the guy that's open. And to me, that's it. It's find the open guy and get him the ball. And the great thing when you have a veteran quarterback who's had success, and I would deem getting a $100 million contract a success. If I'm Baker, I'm looking at that saying, yeah, that's a good thing. That's successful. Going to my first Pro Bowl.
Yeah, where his career was when he got here. I mean,
exactly. That's success, right? Yeah. Going to my first Pro Bowl and being the MVP, that's successful. So I want to keep doing the things that made me successful. So what you're telling me then is find the open guy, throw him the ball. Okay, it's not hard. It really isn't. We're talking about a guy entering year 7 here. This isn't he was a rookie 1-year wonder that might regress. We've seen that before in the league. Even in year 2, this is a comfortable situation for Baker Mayfield, and he's 29 now. He's not going to regress. I would be shocked if he did. And you know what? If he does, it's going to be a 1-game thing where he's like, gosh, you know what? Maybe I thought in my mind that kind of leveled up a little bit. A couple bad
picks. Yeah.
And I can't do that. And then the next game he comes out, maybe he's a little bit more conservative, but he gets the win and says, okay, this is the guy I was last year and I need to be again, rather than the guy that maybe pushes the envelope, shows up my arm strength, etc. So if he has a bad game where he does regress, I would be shocked if it's a season-long regression. I believe, and I did a Pewter Pulse video on this on our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV, just yesterday. Baker Mayfield has to show something that he's never done before, and that's the ability to have back-to-back very good or great seasons, however you want to classify his season last year. He has yet to put really solid back-to-back seasons together. You had the rookie season, which was actually pretty good, and then the 21 touchdowns, 20 interception season in 2019. Then you had the breakout season in 2020, 11 wins for the Browns. They beat the Steelers. They lost to the eventual Super Bowl participant Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. No shame in that.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets hurt the next year. The numbers go down. Then he gets shipped off to Carolina and then the Rams, and then comes to Tampa. It has another great season. Can he got to
go back to back? Yeah.
Can he go back to back? That's going to be the biggest thing for him. And I think he's fully capable of doing that. I see no signs as to why he can't do that this year.
We talked about confidence on the offense, Scott. That's not one of the bigger concerns. But for me, while I feel confident in the offensive line, there's still questions there. And one of my biggest questions is depth. You know, you had the injury to Opeta. If somebody in the starting 5 gets hurt and misses 2, 3, 4 games, that's going to be vital for this team to have for the health of the offensive line, because if one of these guys goes down, you don't have a lot behind them.
No.
I mean, you're going to have to go get somebody, and that's going to affect obviously your pass blocking. It's going to affect the running game.
Yeah.
And I feel confident in the running game right now, but if, Bredesen goes down or somebody like that, man, I'm terrified of that happening, especially early in the season.
I think Robert Hainsey can be a patch. He could come in and start at guard or center. Tackle, Justin Schooley, that all hope is on him. But you look around the league, and there's just not many teams that have that good third offensive tackle. There's not a lot of teams that have 2 good offensive tackles. The Bucs have 2 great ones. I'm going to say an excellent one and a very good, but you average Gedeke and Wirfs out, and they're great together as bookends. There's just not a lot of teams that have that third stud offensive tackle that can come in for half a season and play, and you don't really drop off a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So
injuries can derail any season.
Tampa Bay is no different than any other team, but it's a valid point. And I will say this. Bobby Slater, I'm going to knock on wood here multiple times so the football gods can hear. Outside of Matt Filer, all of the other starting offensive linemen did not miss a start last year. Rashad White didn't miss a start last year. Baker Mayfield didn't miss a start. Neither did Mike Evans or Chris Godwin or Kate Otten. Every single starter on offense did not miss a start last year, with the exception of the left guard, Matt Filer, who was the worst player on offense. Sorry for the noise, but I don't want any Buccaneer fans coming at me saying, you didn't knock on wood. But damn it, I knocked on some wood.
Is that
You
real
just
wood
mentioned
that you're
it.
knocking on?
You
Or is
just
that
This is
mentioned
real
it,
wood. This is
though.
a real wood desk. Yes.
You just mentioned it, though. All right. Good morning, football. The table did their predictions this morning.
Mhm.
Nobody picked the Bucs except
Fine.
what's her name? The girl, Jamie. She
Jamie
picked
Erdahl.
Yeah,
Jamie Erdahl. Yeah.
she picked the Bucs to win it.
Good for Jamie. Good for
I'm still sticking 10. I'm 10 wins.
Yeah, 10 wins.
And I think they win or tied with the Falcons for 10 wins. And
I agree. I could see both teams finishing with 10 wins. Tampa Bay wins with the tiebreaker. I think the Falcons and the Bucs will split. The Bucs and the Saints will split. The Bucs will sweep the Panthers. It'll come down to an NFC game for the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And I like Tampa Bay's chances of winning the division for a fourth straight time. Atlanta's going to be better. I think the Saints are going to get worse.
Yep.
But the Saints are always a problem. And they're always a problem here in Tampa for some reason.
I know.
For whatever reason, they feel more comfortable playing the Buccaneers in Tampa than in New Orleans. And that Week 18 game scares me a little bit. I did my week-by-week, game-by-game predictions for the Buccaneers. I got to 10-7. And unfortunately, they didn't win 11 games because I had them losing to the Saints in Week 18 at home. That's a bad loss. But at the same time, the Saints get to play spoiler.
Yeah.
A little bit, but Tampa Bay still. What I said was Tampa Bay actually clinches the division in Week 17 at home against the Panthers. And if you go back and look, the Buccaneers have clinched the division the last 2 years at home against the Panthers in Week 17, and then at home, or I should say on the road in Week 18 against the Panthers as well. So that's always been the lucky spot for Todd Bowles and his team. Beat the Panthers late, and you win the division.
Good thing you got the Panthers on a schedule late. That's
exactly,
yes. Good thing, at least for now. All right, Scotty, tell everybody how they can get your content as game week is here.
Game week is here. We've got 3 Pewter Report podcasts coming at you today, Wednesday, and Thursday at 4 o'clock Eastern live. You can check us out on Pewter Report TV. It's our YouTube channel. We're approaching 16,000 subscribers, so make sure you hit the subscribe button when you visit. We also have Pewter Game Day starting on Sunday at 4:25. It's where you can listen to Matt Matera and Liam Mitchell as they talk about the action while you watch it at home and they watch it on their screens. And we also have Pewter Pregame Show, which is a live show at 9 a.m. every game day, Sunday, and there'll be a Monday and a Thursday. But this Sunday, 9 o'clock on Pewter Report TV. You can follow us on social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report, and, of course, pewterreport.com, the mothership, for all of your daily Bucs stories and news.
NFL Network's got nothing on Pewter Report, man.
That's
all that
right.
coverage.
You got it all. It's all there. Fantastic stuff. Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate you, my friend. All right. We went an hour commercial free there. We thank all of our sponsors, the Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Italiano Insurance, the Gold and Diamond Source, the Geddes Gordon Group, Extravaganza Productions, Third Generation Plumbing and AC, and Rogers Park Top Tracer Golf Range. Thanks to all of our great sponsors, most of all the Jeeves Law Group. They have done a great job with their Gator report. We'll continue that. Italiano with our FSU report. So we really thank all of them for supporting us and being able to do what we do. Quick break. When we come back, an FSU report brought to you by Italiano Insurance. The great Pat Burnham had to jump in this morning. He's got a vent. He's got to kvetch. This is cathartic. We got to do it. And he'll break down the X's and O's when we come back. Stay with us. Celebrate August with the dazzling green hue of peridot, known for its vibrant and refreshing sparkle. Yes, that's the birthstone of August at the Gold and Diamond Source. Explore the Gold and Diamond Source's stunning collection of peridot jewelry, showcasing the gemstone's unique glow and versatility in rings, necklaces, and earrings. Peridot's distinctive color makes it a standout choice for any occasion, adding a touch of elegance and charm to your ensemble. Enjoy 15% off when you shop August Gems online only. Stop by the Gold and Diamond Source to experience the allure of August Gem and let their expert staff help you find the perfect peridot piece. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmsted Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey, it's football season, so we welcome back the FSU Football Report every Monday and Friday on the JP Peterson Show, sponsored by those huge FSU fans at Italiano Insurance. They'll save you money as well. Just do a quick insurance checkup, 813-877-7799. They just saved me $500 on homeowners insurance. Who's doing that? Yeah, they just shopped it around, found a better, cheaper company, and we got a cheaper price. And business insurance, make sure you're covered or you could lose your personal wealth. That's 813-877-7799. ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Noles.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right. That's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
JP here for Third Generation AC and Plumbing. And Third Generation really says it all, folks. The owner, my friend John Rodriguez, has been in the AC and plumbing business since 1995. They built their business on honest assessments and doing great work on time for a great price. Simple, right? Did you know many AC techs are incentivized on big commissions to sell new AC units and you might just need a drain cleared? So if you want someone you can trust, that's John Rodriguez and Third Generation Services. Check out the 5-star Google reviews. If you have a plumbing or AC emergency, call 813-961-8024 and a human will answer the phone. That's 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Tarpon Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo, they do great concierge medicine for you guys. That means one-on-one, lots of time spent with you, the patient. Now, you could do this in conjunction with your insurance, because Chris does not take insurance because he wants to be free of all those shackles. So you could do this in conjunction with your insurance that will take care of hospitalizations, specialty visits, all that stuff. But get somebody to direct your physical health and promote a healthy lifestyle, not just get you better when you're sick. And that's Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Go right there and get your appointments with Chris Lugo, if you see on the show each and every Thursday. And he'll be back with us this week. All right, let's welcome in our good friend from the Osceola, the Rivals Network, the great Pat Burnham. Pat, brought to you by Italiano Insurance, our FSU report. Pat, you were there last night for the bloodletting. It was ugly. What was the atmosphere like? And when it was weird with the obviously the stadium construction going on, only 55, 60,000. Yeah. Was it loud? Was it like normal? What was
I mean, it was loud. Obviously, not as many people there, but yeah, I thought the stadium was loud, and I thought they got after it early when FSU was competitive, and unfortunately, that didn't last very long. It was more of what we saw against Georgia Tech. JP and I sat here and told you yesterday, if you watched the Georgia Tech film, this had a chance to happen. I actually picked Boston College to win the football game on Sunday. I had it 27-25. I thought FSU would play more physical than they did, but this is a very at this point you have to call them soft football team. They get blown off the ball on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive lines. They don't fill gaps at linebacker and safety, and this was a game that really, JP, they're lucky that the score is 28-13. If you go back to the first drive that Boston College had, they drop a wide open pass. Trayshawn Ward did his former teammates a huge favor and fumbled that football. They were on the plus 40, 3rd and 5 when that he would have been to the 25 or 20. And then, of course, you look at Boston College's second drive, and I've got it circled on their 14th play from scrimmage. They're jumping in condensed sets. They're already imposing their will and making everybody on FSU's defense get involved in the tackling game. And at the end of the day, same thing we saw last week. Mm-hmm. The thing to me, JP, that is so concerning if you're Florida State is didn't take eye candy and motion and trying to trick people to get them out of position. They rammed the ball down Florida State's throat all day long. There is a problem on that side of the ball. There's a problem on both sides of the ball, but the defensive side of the ball is a complete mess right now.
Yeah, I think we talked about this post Georgia Tech, and everybody said, well, these things are fixable. I'm like, no, they're not. When you get bullied, presumably you have your best players starting, and if your best players are just getting bullied, there's nothing you can do about that. I guess you could put 10 guys in the box, and but then any competent quarterback's going to beat you with that. But yeah, I don't think it's fixable. And I'll ask you the question right now because you know the talent way better on this team than I do. But it seems to me the backup players, when they get in there, are better than the starting players. And then we start having this conversation about NIL. Are these guys playing because they're the ones getting paid? I mean, this is where it really kind of goes south for me. And we'll start with the defense in terms of, are there better players?
Well, listen, I thought Daniel Lyons played as decent as you could. I thought he showed some last night. I can't really say that anybody else on the defensive front did based off what we saw. I mean, listen, this game very easily could have been 35 to 41 to 14, 13. I mean, they took a knee to end the damn ball game because they felt sorry for Florida State. I mean, that was an NFL move by Bill O'Brien. But listen, I don't know what the answers are. I know this. Mike, the concern is Mark Salva, who played at Florida State, is one of our Osceola football analysts who joined me last night for our postgame show. Mark's always said, if you don't buy as a puppy, you're not going to buy as a full-grown dog. And, right now they got a bunch of puppies that don't bite. And like to your point, I don't know how you get that better on defense. And listen, then you got some schematic issues. But right now, this is not a very tough football team on defense. I don't know how Mike's going to walk I'm not inside that building. I'm not naive enough to think that NIL does not have to do with some of this. But I think at this point, if you're Mike Norvell and you're trying to salvage any kind of a season this year, you got to start getting some of these young kids ready. I mean, I'm glad to see that guy. And Blake Nicholson didn't have a great game, but I'm glad to see Blake get in there, get a chance. Juice Cryer, those guys get in there. And listen, you're going to have to live with some mistakes, but it's I'd rather have a kid make a mistake going 100% than a kid not playing hard and getting your ass beat on a weekly basis. And listen, I don't see when the first win's coming unless it's Cal, because if Memphis is as good as they've said they're supposed to be, as all the experts. Now, a lot of experts said Florida State was supposed to be.
That's right.
Maybe the experts are wrong about Memphis, but right now they're staring 0-3 in the face.
They are.
To play the way they do on defense. So
there's so many puzzling questions I have schematically. First and foremost is, why the hell can they not cover a back out of the backfield? I mean, and if you're it seems to me painfully obvious that the linebackers cannot cover anybody one-on-one in man coverage. And this is a pretty simple fix. Just go zone. And if back comes out of the backfield, you effing tackle him. I mean, he catches the ball, you tackle him. You got guys. Why are we continuing to try and do something that clearly we cannot do?
Well, listen, I think they were a step slow last week getting out in coverage. I just watched the a little clip of Cam Riley being late on one of those first passes out on the wheel route. I mean, listen, the wheel route has been baffling to college football defensive coordinators since the game started. Nobody could seem to stop the wheel route. But listen, they're just late. And I don't know whether it was Cam Riley that had the blown coverage or whether it was the safety or corner, but it looked like they might have been in zone on that particular play. But listen, the linebacker was late getting out there. I've got multiple plays where linebackers did not get out in coverage. Yeah,
the one that Trayshawn dropped. I mean, there were 4 or 5 times. There was nobody near him.
Yeah, and then on the last touchdown that Trayshawn scored, you got 2 guys wide open because the corner and the safety blow the coverage. I mean, you had 2 of your best players, Fintrell, Cypress, and Shaheem Brown. Neither one pick up the back and neither one pick up the slot receiver. I mean, Thomas Castellanos could have thrown that ball to 2 people.
Yeah.
Listen, it does not look like a well-disciplined football team, and we got 2 penalties that were very costly to Florida State.
Oh, my
Lack
God.
of composure. This is not a well-coached football team right now.
Yeah. All right, and then we got to go right to the quarterback situation here. There is nothing from a football standpoint that makes me think DJU is getting any better. You said it, and it ruffled a lot of feathers that DJ did not separate himself from Brock or Luke in preseason practice. Why is there any? You got a week off before you play Memphis. There's no reason DJU should ever start another game for Florida State, in my opinion. You got to move forward. If there's not that much separation, you obviously go with the younger guy. And to your point again, this offensive line has been hidden because of Jordan Travis's incredible escapability. And clearly, DJU, it cannot escape anything. He's the slowest quarterback I think I've seen in years. Come on. There's no way that he starts another game. No way.
Listen, I don't know how Mike's going to handle that. I know this. I wrote about it before the season started. I wrote about it when they took DJU. I was not a fan of taking a bridge quarterback for just one season. Listen, I thought the right thing to do the whole time was getting Brock on the field. And even after they brought in DJU, why can't you play 2 quarterbacks? Why can't you insert him in the game? And certainly I thought last night there might be a time that you get Brock in the game.
Oh my God.
Give a little juice to the offense. Listen, a lot of, we got 2 guys on our staff, including Mark Salva, that thinks once you take DJU out, he's done. He's going to shut it down. I don't think he can do that. Number one, he's being paid to play. So,
but that should have nothing to do with it.
No, I'm just saying. But
I know you believe that.
I think at the very least, you got to play 2 quarterbacks against Memphis.
Yes,
and at the very least, and whether and how that conversation. I mean, that's going to be a tough conversation if they have it. Mike kind of got to ask about that last night. He didn't have a specific answer, but certainly at 0-2, staring 0-3 in the face. I think you got to try to do something to salvage this season. I don't know what the ceiling is for this team, but listen, you can't miss the passes that DJU missed last night. I mean, the pass to Darion Williamson is you throw that ball to the pylon and
with air.
Yes,
with air. Jesus,
you can't miss. Now listen, he had multiple drops, first down drops. Morlock had a terrible game. Toafili drops a first down pass on the first series of the game. And listen, the coaching decisions somewhat are baffling. Mike didn't do him any favors with his famous 4th and let's go for it.
All right, let's break that down. Come on, dude. It's the first possession of the third quarter. It's a 1 possession game. You're on your side of the 50, and it's 4th and 7. It's not 4th and 3 where you got a 2-way go. It's not 4th and 2. It's not 4th and 1. And you have a quarterback that's extremely inconsistent. And you actually, if I'm not mistaken, just had 2 or 3 stops in a row defensively at the end of the first half. I mean, what the fuck are you doing? That is such an amateur hour panic move. I couldn't believe it. I mean, that's just ridiculous, Pat.
They ended the FSU's defense ended the first half with 2 3-and-outs. And then Boston College got the ball back one last time. All they did was run out the clock.
Right.
But yeah, so you're down one score. I believe at that point, second half started 14-6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So you come out with two backs, get a 9-yard gain, come out of two backs, go tackle for a loss on your next play, incomplete pass on 2nd and 11, bad throw, 3rd and 11, third you get a pass on 3rd and 11.
Because you had a penalty. You had a freaking penalty.
Yeah, and then so you get to 4th and 5, 4th and 7, and all right, I'm fine with aggression. I've talked about this before, but there was a lack. If you got to be aware, and I know what the analytics say, but the analytics don't have any clue that our defense is getting its ass kicked and you're going to give them take the chance of giving them a short field. And the best player on the field for Florida State last night was Alex Mastromano.
Yes.
He flipped the field multiple times. But that's where we are with this football team, JP. The two best players on this team are the kicker and the punter right now.
Well, then use them. I mean, it's been a situation like that. This is smart football, and he's supposed to be a special teams guru. Pin them deep. You got the crowd is on your side. You're giving your team a little bit of juice, and the probability of 4th and 7. I think it was 4th and 7.
I had 4th and 5, but it could have been 4th and 7.
So even 4th and 5 again. It's a must pass with a horrible, and then the call. What fucking call is that? I mean,
I don't know.
If you're going to go 4th and 5, you have Pat. You've been in 1,000 coaching meetings where you have 4 or 5 plays on the sheet. That's like we scouted this. Their backside backer always chases getting the tight end on the backside is going to be this is going to be an absolute 100% completion. We're going to save this play from when we need it. And then I don't even know what hell play they run it, but it's a basic drop back. DJ's got to read it and make a good throw. And then your receiver's got to catch it. All those things are going again.
Well,
I mean, in this decision, there's probably 12 touch points. And on all touch points, it says no go. It says no go. And you go. I mean.
Well, it was a bad decision, followed by a bad play call, followed by a bad decision by the quarterback to throw the ball.
Followed by a bad throw.
Jaylen Brown runs straight out of the picture. If you watch the TV copy, there's nobody within a country mile of that football other than BC defenders. And so now instead of – listen, you should have punted. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And listen, I'm not a big fan. I saw your tweet during the game, and I thought you were right. I thought it was a panic move. Your defense had ended the half well, punt it, more than likely. If Alex had done what had done the rest of the game, you're starting. Boston College is starting out inside their 20-yard line.
Right.
Instead, the interception leads to starting out on the +7, and it takes them 2 plays to get in. And at 21-6, this is certainly going to be an uphill battle for Florida State. Now, I'll give them credit. They didn't quit. They kept on fighting. But the optics were bad. Listen, the strength of the offense last night was the running game, passing game. I don't know what to make of Florida State on offense from a running game perspective. 16 carries. There was no effort to run the ball. There was no success when they did run the ball. The offensive line is supposed to be the strength of this team. And to go back to your point, and it's kind of hyperbole, but I said when they brought in DJU and played him I said the one thing I like about Brock is the defenses will have to honor the run game because Brock will tuck it and run it, and he's a good athlete, right? He's really not Jordan Travis, but he can run. He's got a little running back to him. And, it's over the top statement. But what I said, what I've told Mark Salve and I've told some other people, and I actually put it on our message board today, is it's almost with they're not Boston College nor Georgia Tech worried, I think, for 1 second about DJU running the ball.
Right.
So it's almost like you're giving the defense there's a gap they don't have to defend. It's almost like they have an extra man.
Yeah. And
I know that's over the top because, listen, they're going to sneak DJU out at some point in the season. He's going to pick up a first down on his own read. I mean, that's going to happen. But by and large, it has totally changed the way teams have to defend it. And I think and listen, we all know that Travis's ability to get out of the pocket when pass protection broke down covered some of the stumps of the offensive line. The surprising thing to me, as bad as FSU was when Mike first got here, he was able to scheme up some run game. even in the 5-7 year.
Yeah.
And
Terrible offensive lines.
And listen, so I think what we're seeing is this is an offensive line that was as good as it was because it had a quarterback that could get it out of bad situations, and defenses had to account for Jordan Travis, for him and their fits and then their run fits. And then obviously he was one of the most dynamic playmakers in college football the last couple of years. So it was hard to tackle anyway. He could take it to the house. And listen, obviously what we're learning now is, he was also a much better passer than we gave him credit. I mean, listen, He obviously got better as he went along, but
DJU is awful.
The passing
and
has regressed.
No run threat whatsoever.
And listen, you're not running the ball, and I don't know what the answers are for this football team right now. Mike said something about we got to continue to try to run the ball. I think he said that at one of the breaks, and that again 16 runs. But I told you yesterday when we talked. I told you about my read on the tea leaves out of the press conferences is that. When I saw Mike's press conference on Tuesday, I was not there. I watched it on YouTube. That I can't remember him emoting like that. He looked concerned. He seemed concerned, and now we know why.
Yeah.
I think he knew there was a chance that this was coming at some point. Now he's always going to care. Mike's really good about staying on message, and he's really good about trying to protect the kids. And
right.
He spent most of his press conference yesterday apologizing after the game, which is fine. Listen, you're the head coach. It is your fault. We all that at the end of the day, you're making the money. That's where the blame is going to go. And it should. Listen,
the players got to look themselves in the mirror.
Yeah. Listen, and I was glad to see that they, instead of trotting out Ryan Fitzgerald or Alex Mastromanno, they actually brought a defensive player out for the press conference. So there's some accountability there. I think I can't remember, it was Lundy. It might've been Lundy, but anyway, listen, I think this team, I said it before the season started. I thought they were searching for identity on the offensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And now after 2 weeks, I don't think they have an identity on either side of the ball. And we talked about the lack of leadership.
Oh, they got an identity. You talked about it, and it's soft, and it's awful. Hey, before I let you go, you guys are deep in recruiting, so know the chops of these two backup quarterbacks, Luke Kromenhoek and Brock Glenn. I guess Brock's the guy, right, at this point. And what type of accolades do they have? What did you see from them in high school? Can they project as great quarterbacks in college? I'm done with DJU. If he starts DJU, I don't even know what to think.
My comp on Brock coming out of high school when they flipped him from Ohio State. So that tells you what kind of chops he had coming out of high school. He was one of the most highly recruited quarterbacks in the country. He reminds me of Casey Weldon.
Yeah.
He's got a little shit in his neck. He's a tough kid. He brings a little juice when he's going there. In the ball game. I think he would be the guy if Mike pulls the trigger. I don't think I would not put a true freshman in right now with this team.
No. But Rock can run an RPO, right?
Yes.
And be dangerous.
Yeah.
And be dangerous, right? Like you have to account for him.
Listen, Brock,
and that changes the running game. Totally.
Yeah, Brock's a very good athlete and can run extremely well. Listen, as I told you, I was not a fan of the bridge quarterback. I would have said,
"No,
hey,
you were spot on."
I said, if you're going to go get a quarterback, get somebody that got beat out in the spring somewhere else and wants to come in and chance come in as the backup, a veteran backup. But get Brock ready, get him ready for next year. This team was not going to be last year's team. And that's become painfully evident now. But for everybody to see. But listen, am I surprised Florida State got beat last night, JP? No. Am I surprised at how they got beat? Absolutely. You've got football is still, even the way it's played today, is still a sport for tough people.
Yes.
And you got guys that are not playing tough, and I think
I saw some things that were just like, guys that just wanted no part of contact, no part. And I'm like, whoo. And that's stuff that shows up big time on tape. The coaches know who they are. And if they continue to put them out there, that's on the coaching staff. I don't care. I don't care how many stars a guy has on his resume. If he don't want contact and is protecting himself and thinks he's better than he is, get him the hell out of there. Give me a 2-star. that's going to stick his face in the fan over a 5-star who wants none of it.
Well, here's what you got to hope you can do, JP, if you're a Florida State football coach, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. They played more people, I thought, than a lot. The rotation was better. You got Sione in the game a little bit more. You got Daniel Lyons in there. You got some of the young linebackers in there more. I don't know. I can't remember the rotation on the defense on the back half. But here's what you got to hope. You got to hope you go in there and watch that film and you see something in Daniel Lyons. You got to hope you go in there and see something in Blake Nicholson. You got to. I mean, you got to look. I think you got to look for individual performances that stood out and guys that need more reps. And listen, I think Blake's going to be a starting linebacker for Florida State moving forward. Is he ready? Probably not. But he's as ready as they have.
He's better than the other guys.
Yeah. So listen, I think it's listen, I knew
you were right. You were right.
No, I'm just saying. I just can't.
Right. We were questioning this. I said there's too much unknown here. I'm not, I hope everybody's right. I hope the defensive line is great, but there's a lot of unknown. And until I see how they play, I'm not going to make any grand predictions.
Yeah. And it's one thing to get beat, but it's the optics of how they look getting beat in the first two games. It does not look like a team.
And Feinbaum gloating over the whole thing makes me sick to my freaking stomach.
Yeah.
Don't put on ESPN today, bro. I know you don't watch it either, but just don't put
I thought about that.
They are just
In fact, last night, JP, just funny story before we go, just because I remembered our conversation about that last week. I actually went to see if Feinbaum was tweeting at 12:30 last night because I figured he might take a couple of shots. But
he'll take the victory laps.
I'm sure
the whole damn network is today.
I'm sure he had his warm milk and was already in bed by the time this thing ended.
Disgusting. All right, partner. Appreciate you. Tell everybody how they can get your content, by the way.
Yeah, please go to theosceola.com or floridastate.rivals.com. We've got a couple of articles that Bob and Kurt did, including Kurt's under the impression that the college football snub might have broke this football team. I'm not sure I agree with him, but it's an interesting take. We've got PFF grades. We've got a copy of our Seminole Sidelines First Impressions show on there where Mark Salva joins me. And, of course, we'll have recruiting coverage throughout the day and week. But theosceola.com or floridastate.rivals.com. And, listen, look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right, Pat.
And you guys have a great week, and good luck to the Bucs.
Thanks, partner. Appreciate that. All right, TJ is on deck. We got to hit a break. We got to pay some bills. Sorry to keep you waiting, TJ, but quick break. We'll be back here in just a second and talk some Buccaneers and more college football because TJ's got some thoughts on it as well. Stay with us.
So many college football thoughts, TJ. I can't wait.
Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results, whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all. It's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at RogersParkGolf.net. That's RogersParkGolf.net. See you there.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source. Guys, you can go there and buy something for yourself, not just your lady. Got some nice cufflinks, tie tacks, watches, bracelets, rings, all the good stuff. Guys can shop for jewelry too. Yes, it's like that. So head on over to the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, and online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, let's welcome in. Thank you for your patience. The great TJ Reeves, Bucs sideline guy, joining us here. College football play-by-play man as well. It's been a tough couple weeks, my friend. I drowned my sorrows, at least in Ireland. Last night I had to stay sober, to do my work. Unfortunately,
I work better not sober.
I just wondered if you were ingesting lighter fluid long about 11 Eastern time last night. Because
we ran out of Xanax, so I had to.
The Seminole season that had so much hope lasted like 9 days. JP, I thought this was a preseason top 10 team, and they're getting pushed all over the field.
Come on. Preseason polls in college are straight garbage. There's too much unknown. I believe, but I did believe some of the hype on the D line and the O line. Right? These guys are supposed to be good. They're not.
So I don't mean to sit here. You're an hour and a half in and trample more on you and the misery. I did not get to hear earlier in the show. Yes, the players ultimately play, but with what we saw in the first half of that game last night, does that look like a team that the coaching staff got through to at all after the loss in Ireland? As Thursday became Friday, became Saturday to get ready for Monday night. Where was, and I saw numerous Seminole fans pointing this out, I'm sure you were saying the same thing. Where was the fire, the emotion in the second quarter? Let's recover. Let's fight here at home. Let's get the season back on track and get to 1-1. It didn't look like there was any of that. And how much of that do you blame Mike Norvell and his staff for not having those guys more ready to go?
Well, they gotta feel it. Yeah, it's on the coaching staff, and really, it's on them as terms of personnel, because these guys, they don't have it. If you don't have it within you, you can't do it. And I don't think any of these guys that are on the field defensively. There were so many moments in the Ireland game and this game where you got them. You've been down all game. Now this is where you stop them. And sometimes teams will trick you and get your ball over the top while you're fired up and ready. But when they trample you in the run game in those moments, you're supposed to bring all the energy. They're not going to knock you off the ball with this point of the game. And they did last week and this week. And that just tells me those guys don't have it in here. And that's a coach. And listen, this happens in pro football. It happens in college football. You just don't know until the chips are down and the guys are out there what they're going to do. But it's pretty clear that they don't have the dudes. And
we love the what ifs.
In the NFL were the whole team.
We love the what ifs. Okay, we could sit here and second guess this thing to death, and it's only going to make you more miserable, and it's only going to make you want to fill that coffee mug with something more than whatever you have currently in there. If Uwe Ungalale DJU throw it 3 yards, whatever you want to call him. If he hits the receiver in the corner of the end zone at the end of the first half for the touchdown, crowd erupts. Game is now 14-10 instead of 14-6. What does that mean? Do you think it ultimately means you don't think it would have inspired them even more? I think it was just kind of a final indication of we can't get it right. And there were some guys that hung their head, and I thought it was fascinating. Mike Norvell does it all the time where he huddles the team up. He did it at Memphis. He huddles the team up before they run to the locker room. And you could read his lips when they zoomed in. We're going to win this game. He said it 3 times. We're going to win this game. He kept saying it to him. But I just wonder when that ball sailed to the bricks 10 yards beyond the corner of the end zone, incomplete to a wide open receiver, how much of a gut punch was that, and would it have been different had that been connected? And the game is now 14-10, and you're on the higher high there.
I think they are not a good football team, and they're getting beat up in the trenches on both sides by fairly mediocre.
Are we really Taggart 2018 territory? Is it going to be that bad?
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, I mean, how do you change it? Like when teams can just turn around and hand the ball off up the middle and trample you, and these are your best guys, how do you stop that? I mean, you go goal line defense from the 20-yard line? I don't know.
We're going to stack an 8-man front.
Make them throw the ball. I mean, at some point you have to do that, right? Do you not? Like listen, you look at the guys that they lost. All right, Verse and Fisk were clearly dominant players. And then you look at their linebackers and Tatum Bethune and who's the other guy? Their linebackers were so much better. These guys are terrible. I mean, they are terrible.
Right.
And the coaching, the good game management last night was just awful.
Well, let me ask you this.
Let me
get a table for 3 going between Dabo Swinney, Billy Napier, and Mike Norvell right now over cocktails, everybody. Who's got it worse? I guess you could be asking. About now.
Dabo's just stubborn, and I don't. That's right. The most.
Dabo's doing it to himself.
But by the way, Dabo's got much more cred and cachet because he's got 2 national championships to go along with. And by the way, played in the title game another time, or 2 other times.
Yeah,
he played in the title game. So
that was the old college football.
He's got a lot of credibility. But then again, Dabo could point to Florida State right now and say to Clemson fans, this is why I don't want to go in the NIL transfer portal world and do this and remake your team every year. And by the way, another example may very well be Colorado. I mean, Colorado's got Nebraska in prime time. They've got 40 new players again this year. And if it's a mess and they're bad, then there's another example that he can point to of, I do not want to build it this way. I do not want to constantly bring 20 or 30 guys in every year out of a transfer portal. I'd rather grow from within. The key is you got to win. I asked the same question. What was that in the second half from the coaching staff of Clemson, the adjustments? Because Kirby Smart's coaching staff, it was a close game. At halftime,
6-3 at halftime,
and they just got flattened. Yes, in the second half by Georgia. So you got to put some of this. If we're going to laud all these coaches and their staffs, same thing. Florida Gators. You got that long touchdown run to make the game 17-10. Yeah. So you're back in the game late in the first half. You then let Miami drive the length of the field and score a touchdown right before halftime. Then you come out of the locker room and you let them drive and score again. Right. Where are the adjustments? Where's the motivation? Do the players tune that out and it's over? I think it's a great question on a Tuesday. I don't have the answers.
Well, I think a lot of it to Pat's point, your point, is quarterback play. Okay, when you believe in your quarterback, I mean, you have Carson Beck. You know that guy's going to make plays. He's going to make plays when they're there to be made. To some degree, Riley Leonard did the same thing in the A&M game. You've got Connor Wegman. He's DJU. He's terrible. And I think players obviously see that.
And look at your point, look at the Miller Moss kid on Sunday night for Southern Cal and how they rallied around him and the big time throws that he made, getting his opportunity. It's a great point. If you have the quarterback and you have the leadership. But I thought it was interesting. Our buddy Booger McFarland was sitting on the Saturday show and said about Clemson, where is the imagination on offense? Where is the motion
Yeah.
Where is the misdirection? They're just trying to line up and play a lot of cases power football. Yeah, they don't have Jeff Scott there. They don't have Tony Elliott, that's now the Virginia coach. But he was saying where was varying it up in the second half, using misdirection, using motion. It was almost too predictable, too robotic, played right into Georgia's hands. So that's coaching. And I guess Klubnik, the quarterback at Clemson, deserves some criticism on not playing better.
Who has confidence in him? Look at Cam Ward. I mean, look at Cam Ward. He has Miami's had the false swagger for the last 20 years. But now you have a quarterback that can play. And that swagger takes on a whole new type of foundation. Even your idiot coaches like doing the Gator chomp are like so soft.
Mario.
Cam Ward won the September Heisman this week, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Settle down, Mario Cristobal. Cristobal. I mean, you have me on because
I'm there before, bro.
I'm full of stories. I'm full of something. All right. So I go back to the 2020 COVID crazy season. And I got the opportunity on national radio to work the Miami-Louisville game in a virtually empty Louisville Cardinals stadium on a Saturday night. This was right at the beginning of the season. This is Manny Diaz as the head coach. This is Rhett Lashley as the new offensive coordinator in Miami. And De'Aaron King was the transfer quarterback from Houston. You're part of the world, Timmy.
Yep.
And De'Aaron King looked fantastic against Louisville in that game, and they rolled. And I'm doing the game with Tiki Barber, and I'm like, are they back? And he's going, they look back to me on the basis of this game tonight with the way they played on offense. And let me give you what happened after that to Manny Diaz, De'Aaron King, Rhett Lashley, and the 2020 Canes. Right down. My whistle didn't work. Straight down.
There we go.
So all I'm saying is a Labor Day great performance by Cam Ward, by Miami.
Against the bad Gator defense.
Against the bad Gator tread carefully on what does that mean? Because I think that Miami team in 2020 still lost like 4 or 5 times. I don't know that this Miami team will lose 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, they look there's
they
other
look
things
good.
Yeah.
But you wonder, does it sustain? Does Cam Ward stay healthy? He certainly had all kinds of time to do whatever he wanted. You talk about the Gator front seven.
Yeah.
Where was that on Sunday, especially in the second half? No pressure. They're going up and down the field on them. It was tough to watch. So Gator fan in the stupor, Seminole fan in the stupor right now. Who knew?
USF getting ready to take on Alabama. And their fans are all full of piss and vinegar
because they beat up on Bethune-Cookman. But get ready.
Yeah.
Did you watch some of that game with Western Kentucky, who's not terrible, and Alabama just freight trained them with big plays and the run game and the whole bit. Wow. Good luck, because it was a very weird game a year ago with the lightning delay that delayed things like 90 minutes and the thunderstorm in the Alabama USF game in the first half. Yeah, and remember, Nick Saban was purposely not playing Jalen Milroe, trying to light a fire under him and trying to see if the backup quarterback, I think it's Tyler Watts, is the backup,
was any good.
To see if he was any good. And they struggled to do anything the whole game and finally scored late in the game to make it 10-3. I'm just saying, don't read a lot into September 2023 having anything to do with September of 2024 at Tuscaloosa on Sunday. You better bring it. You better be ready, or Alabama may roll USF the same way.
And I don't want to piss on anybody's USF parade. I'm not here to do that. But I think, the turnaround from 1 win to 7 wins last year is tremendous. But let's go look at who they played, when they played them, who they beat. Okay, I'm not trying to crap. I'm just trying to be realistic, as I am with FSU. I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, we're going to turn it around." No, that's a shit team, and they ain't going anywhere. They're awful.
Write them off.
They're awful. In fact, I would bet that they don't even get to a bowl game this year. That's how bad they are.
Wow.
Unless Brock Glenn turns them around tremendously, and that could happen. You get a quarterback in there that could change a lot of different things. But I'm not even worried about that. I'm talking about USF, and Byron Brown is a top 5 quarterback in the nation. Full stop. He's that good. But this is Alabama at Alabama.
That's right.
This is a step up in class. I mean, you lost to UAB by 35 points last year, I believe it was USF. Trent Dilfer's group. So let's just I'm not trying to crap on the parade. I think USF can have a great season. But I'm looking at all these. I'm looking at the head coach going, "Oh, Alabama's got to play USF." You know, I'm like,
well,
okay.
he was obviously at Tennessee for the upset 2 years ago in Knoxville when they lit the cigars up and everything with Josh Heupel, and they won the game. The problem is he doesn't have Tennessee's talent to roll into Tuscaloosa this time. But they did play with him defensively to an extent last year. But the difference is, again, perspective. Milroe did not play at all in the game a year ago. And he is a dynamic running quarterback. He can tuck it under and be gone 60, 70 yards. He's
Which
that
is a
type
game
of
changer
player
in college football.
And so this is a tough test for them. And let's see if they do hang in. And if so, for how long? But you're gonna have to put the big boy pads on and be ready to play against a Godzilla in that game for this weekend. But early in the college football season, strange things happen. Like throughout Saturday, I'm looking at a couple of games going, what is going on? Oregon is only up by a field goal the whole second half at home with Idaho. This is a team that everybody penciled in as, hey, they're going to win the Big Ten. Hey, they're going to be in the college football playoff semifinal, if not the championship game. And it's 17-14 against Idaho in the fourth quarter at home.
Are they an FCS team? Idaho? They are, right?
Yeah. And Dylan Gabriel's the transfer from Oklahoma.
Look, Oregon lost. Look at the talent. It's very FSU-esque.
Yes.
Lost a lot of talent.
Of course.
You got to replace
new quarterback in Dylan Gabriel, who was at Oklahoma, who was formerly at UCF, left-handed quarterback. So they struggled. There were some games where you just scratched your head. Michigan had problems with Fresno State for a while until they got the pick six. It was like a 13-7 game until they got the pick six.
Make it a one-score game.
Michigan better be a lot better against Texas. I'm playing your song here, Timmy. The eyes of Texas are upon them, and now Texas and Michigan will be very interesting early on Saturday. So some of these, it's weird in the first game on how it looks, and can you be better in the second game? And that's the thing for Florida State fans. It wasn't better in the second game.
Exactly.
So TJ, I've prepared a little mini segment here for you.
Did you
tell JP about this?
Okay, good. Spring it on me.
JP, as we're producing on the air here. It is called TJ's Take.
Okay.
Registered trademark pending.
All right.
And I want you to tell me. Oh, you know what? We might have production music too for this.
You might.
Oh my goodness!
You prepared your own segment, and you might have production music. Come on, my friend. Come on.
Yeah. Match game music here.
Oh, like the match game.
I want you to tell me what's more likely. All right. I'm gonna give you a number of options here. Miami wins the ACC. Penn State wins the Big Ten.
Settle down.
Oklahoma State wins the Big 12.
Ooh. Or is that enough?
Or UNLV is going to the college football playoff.
Wow, UNLV did look good against the Houston Cougars. I don't know what that's worth. All right, Penn State, what do they have on the schedule? I don't have it in front of me. They have both Ohio State and Michigan still.
Penn State, and James Franklin is still the coach.
And Penn State in the big game in October or November. It's not the same thing as September. So let's nix that. Now, my other choices are Miami to win the ACC, which appears to be wide open, just like the Boston College receivers against Florida State. Sorry, Jim. Appears to be wide open ACC. Or Oak State.
Running backs, not the
Oak State with the running back Ollie Gordon. In a Big 12 that's got Utah at the top of it. Arizona is going to be dangerous. Get a load of Arizona and their ability to score, and they've got a receiver named T-Mac, Tiaroa McMillan, who is a Tongan who played in Las Vegas actually in high school with his quarterback, with Noah Fafita. They have like 7 Division I players off that high school team, and 3 of them may get drafted in the NFL draft.
Jesus.
From that Las Vegas high school team, and 2 of them are the Arizona Stars. So look out for Arizona in the Big 12. McMillan
is horrible against Abilene Christian.
Yes, Texas Tech barely beat Abilene Christian, but the Big 12 is wide open, and Arizona T-Mac McMillan is a 6'4", 215-pound, blazing fast receiver, NFL prospect. But Oak State might be your team on the match game. Above Miami to win the ACC, Penn State to win the Big 12. Or what did you say? UNLV to win the
college football playoff.
Make the college football playoff and win the Mountain West.
Or tell you what, I'll throw a wild card at you here just for fun. Add Northwestern cancels their stadium renovation and just continues to play in the lacrosse field.
That was kind of cool on the
Wasn't
lakefront
that
with the temporary stands around the lakefront
great.
and the whole bend. The only problem is when it gets to be late October and November, with the wind blowing off the lakefront, that may not be the most ideal.
Lacrosse must be a summertime sport, huh?
Yeah, it's a spring. Yeah, it's a spring. They're not playing that in November in the snow, baby.
I didn't know.
Not on that. I like this on the match game. Anything else? Are we good?
No, that was
because
all
I know
had for you.
JP wants to get to the BUCCANEERS in the
let's do
final
that.
moments.
It's game week, my friend.
Yes,
It's
it
game
is.
week. And, this is a very winnable game as Dan Quinn in his debut as the Commandos. Which, by the way, what is there? Like, I saw a Pewter report, had Commandos instead of Commander. Like, what is
Commandos,
logo?
Washington
Like,
football
what is their-
team.
what is their? I had to get
Like
a
their
chuckle. The
mascot?
Bulls actually called them the Redskins, which I was.
He
which I'm okay
did,
with.
and he actually played at one point for the Washington Redskins, so
Yeah,
it's
he did.
forgivable.
Nobody died.
Back in the day. So, by the way, there are a great number of people that still want that to be the Washington Redskins, and the owner may come back around to it. Who knows if the NFL,
including some Native American tribes.
but I don't know if the NFL ever signs off on it.
One
But
of the
for
big
now,
threats was FedEx was going to remove their name from the stadium.
Right.
It's not there anymore.
so they're gone anyway. So they are the Commanders for right now. For how long? Jaden Daniels, the Heisman winner, making his debut, and again a very mobile quarterback, explosive with the legs. You got to watch out. Ask the Gator fans. It is still the case. That is the first and only time in college football history that a quarterback threw for 300 and ran for 200 in the same game in Baton Rouge last year. Jaden Daniels to help him win the Heisman. Cheers, Billy Napier on that. So Jaden Daniels, fascinating too, what they're going to do defensively here in this game. Dan Quinn is a defensive guy, but you got to believe this is Buccaneers at home. I know we're partial on this, but this is Buccaneers home setting. Going to be electric in there with a chance to get off to a great start, chance to win an opening game 4 years in a row. I don't know. Do the Buccaneers have 4 opening wins in their entire rest of their history?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I got to look
so.
into that. Opening game wins. I mean, there was a long stretch like in the 80s, the late 80s and the early 90s when you didn't see an opening day win. There were kids that graduated from high school having not seen an opening day win.
Yes.
On that. But you got a chance to win an opening game 4 times in a row. 2 of those are the Dallas Cowboys, by the way. Tim Ham. Thursday night, Super Bowl banner raising night, win with Tom Brady. And then Tom Brady again in Dallas in Big D, where the Bucs looked outstanding in that opening Sunday night game. And then a year ago, Baker Mayfield and company for Todd Bowles won in Minnesota on opening day. All right, so you gotta believe with the weapons the Bucs have, the home crowd, this is a great opportunity to get off to a really good start. Be impressive before you go play Detroit. Gonna be hot, especially in the first half of this game. The Washington Commanders will be in the dark jerseys, so maybe that'll be advantage Buccaneers. So I'm anxious for all of it to get underway for sure.
And Yaya Diaby playing is going to be a key in this one. I know you talk to the trainers all the time, and you're in the training room because
right, exactly.
Any insight into that?
I can tell you this: if he is back out on the practice field, which he is, that's a really good sign. Because the high ankle sprain can be a 4-week thing, a 6-week thing, and it happened right before the start of the preseason game. So you've gotten a good month. So thankfully, if this was going to happen, it happened at a great time where he's not missing games or not greatly affected by it. And I am one of those that keeps perspective. It is a long season. Did I emphasize that? Yep. If he can't really go this week needs another week, I'm okay with making do without him for the opening game because I say again, it is a long season and I don't want him re-injured if he's not a full go. We'll have a better idea later today, tomorrow. Is he out there? What do they list him as? Tomorrow's the first time they have to list him as. Did he fully participate? So you use that as an indication. If you see limited participation on Wednesday and even Thursday, that's not a good sign.
I say a no-go
for him to be playing on Sunday. And we kind of went through this with Kalijah Cansey at the beginning of last season because remember he had the calf injury and he was limited through the whole preseason, didn't play, limited the whole week, played a little bit against Minnesota and then ended up re-injuring it. Exactly right. So you got to be careful with that. with Diaby and the ankle injury. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot here to be intrigued by. Cansey fully healthy with Vita Vea in the middle, Levante David in the middle.
Yes.
We're going to keep saying it again. Without Devin White here, is it addition by subtraction on somebody not being in position all the time? And does the defense work better with KJ Britt there, or Servassier Dennis there, Antoine Winfield in the back, Jordan Whitehead back as his partner in the safety position coming over from the New York Jets after 2 years away? There's a lot to like about this, and so let's see what it looks like for week one. I know as Friday becomes Saturday and Saturday becomes Sunday, there are a whole lot of people that are going to care about the expectation and what's going on with the 49th season of Buccaneer football.
Ooh. Would you guys like to know the last time they won 3 opening games in a row?
3 opening games in a row. The last time, was it in this century, the 2000s?
It was not.
It was not in this century.
79, 80, and 81.
You are correct, sir. They
oh,
beat
my God.
Detroit,
John
Cincinnati,
McKay, Leroy Selman, Doug Williams, and they beat who for the first 3?
Detroit in 79, Cincinnati in 80, and Minnesota in 81.
My God, I had not even moved to the Tampa Bay area yet. I moved with my family in 1983. It's amazing. But they've got a chance now to win a 4th opening day game to get off to the good start in this division. And it's a favorable home-centric schedule at the beginning of the year with Denver and Philadelphia in September also. So
you got to win this game. You just got to win this game. I'm not saying must win. I'm just like, you got to win. Like, you got to win. All the offseason talk, all the offseason, everything you did it. Everything's been, it's Camp Kumbaya. Mm-hmm. You gotta stamp it with a win.
I'm with you.
You got to have that.
From your lips to my post-game interview show, my friend. You got to win this opening game. We'll have it all on Buccaneers Radio.
Have a coach will stop and talk to you.
Yes, and we appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, TJ, thank you, my friend.
Listen, always great to be with you. You have me back on when you need me as the year unfolds.
TJ Tuesdays, and now we got theme music. We got, the
match game.
Do for you?
I want the password music next week. The password.
You got it. Password is.
Great to be with you, boys. Football is back. Cannot wait. Let's see what happens.
Uwe Ungalele.
DJ, you not good. Thank you.
The clue is shit quarterback. DJ. All right, thank you, partner.
See you, boys.
All right, that's a hell of a show there. I got through without slitting my wrists.
How you like that?
That's a plus. That's a plus. Yeah, it's as I said, to my folks this morning, all my FSU folks on the text message. This just makes you appreciate last year even more. You had a magical season last year. It was unexpected. It was fantastic. Yeah, it ended like shit, but it was a great season. It was a fantastic season, and this is a regression to the mean.
Yeah,
it is what it is, and just if he doesn't change quarterbacks, that's just going to kill me, because it's the only hope is to open up this offense and outscore people with a shitty defense. And you can only do that with a running quarterback who's got some mobility behind this terrible offensive line. And Brock Glenn, who was an Ohio State recruit, you got him from Ohio. Put him in there. Let's freaking go. It's time.
Does Norvell survive the season if they finish?
Oh, stop it. That's
4-8?
Silly. That's just silly. That's just silly. Come on.
He's good, right? He's good.
Yeah, he's fine. He went 13-0, for God's sakes.
I'm aware.
Do you know where this program was when he took it over? Into 4 years, have him on the brink of a playoff. It should have been a playoff berth to go 13-0. Come on. Alabama wanted him. He's a good coach. He's got a lot of good qualities.
I agree.
He's had a crappy first 2 weeks, and there's a lot of stuff going. He's got terrible personnel, much worse than he thought. Yeah. And this has got to be a get right year. Get some of the young kids going. Find your quarterback, and you could salvage the season. That's what you got to do. And if he doesn't pivot to that, then I'm really worried about him. Yeah, so you're not going to fire him, but
So then, what's a successful season? A recovery season? 7 wins at this point?
I think if you get 7-8 wins, including a bowl win, and you build some momentum behind Brock Glenn, and you start playing some young kids and see what you got. I think that could be and you beat Florida at the end of the year. You're not going to beat Miami in Miami. Just keep it respectable. But just beat Florida. Win 7 games, 7-8 games. I think you're developing players. You got to see players. develop, the young running backs, the young receivers with Brock Glenn.
Right.
Start getting some chemistry. Get those guys in and let them play.
Right.
Hakeem Williams is going to come back. He's a young 5-star receiver. Build for the future. Throwing DJ out there to scrape out 6 wins is going to be a crap season.
But you got to make changes quick. Right.
I don't want to see that dude again. That's just, it's awful.
That's
it's
the key.
Awful. You'll lose the fan base. You lose your team. There's nobody in that team that believes in him. That's part of it. Nobody on that team believes in him. So move on. And you got something to play for.
There you go.
All right, my friend. Great job. Appreciate you. Thanks to Scott Reynolds, TJ Reeves, Pat Burnham. If you missed anything, don't forget to like and subscribe on our podcast. You can get on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you want to do it. Like and subscribe on our YouTube page, and then go my new Twitter at the JP Peterson Show to follow that as well. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.